was about 58 degrees this morning. How was it on the track?
Yeah, it was warm. Yeah, but lighter day Wednesday, so I think all the boys got through without any too serious heat stroke, which is good. And then we'll gear up for Friday, which I think is going to be warm again. But that's nice. Coming from a Victorian boy who grew up in Melbourne, I don't mind the heat over here. It's nice.
You've been one of the older guys now. Is your load as high as it's been in previous years at the moment, or are you looking at a bit lighter? And given the heat, is it a bit nicer if it's a bit lighter?
My training loads are I've hardly had a pre-season the last few years with injury, so Wednesdays are a down day for a few of us. A few of the boys getting on a bit, and Mondays and Fridays are big, so found a nice little routine there.
Is it quite different though? I mean, having a background in sort of soft tissue injuries, it's not necessarily sort of an age kind of thing. How's your season preparation different with the soft tissue background?
Individually?
Yeah.
Well, I guess if your soft tissue stuff's an ongoing thing, you're always looking to change things. So probably the last 2 or 3 pre-seasons have all looked different, but we've found a way to do it this year where it's working so far. So, touch wood and keep going.
Is that more time in the gym or like a slower build with your running, more plyometric sort of stuff?
It's probably more the training loads in terms of some drills I do, some drills I don't. But it's very structured from a sports science point of view. Like they're looking into every drill we do and getting the GPS numbers on that and stuff that I stay out of. I just do what I'm told to do and come out when I'm told to come out. I think the guys behind the scenes, not just for me, but they put a lot of effort into nailing and really understanding each guy's individual program. So there's a lot of work that goes on there, and we've got to respect that and listen to them and put our trust in what they're telling us to do.
You look... Go ahead, Brad.
Sorry. How frustrating was last year for you and being off the park, and what's your level of confidence like at the moment for this year in terms of being able to play a lot of footy?
Yeah, it was a frustrating year, I guess, from a win-loss point of view. We didn't perform overly well. So the injury stuff, I mean, everyone goes through it at some stage if you're fortunate enough to play a long time in this game. And I had a really good run with injury for a long time, so I can't really sit here and complain too much. But more wanting to get out there and help the team when we weren't going so well. And even when I was able to get out there, we didn't go so well either. So that was frustrating. We didn't perform anywhere near where we expect ourselves to, and where we knew we could. So looking forward to next season. It's exciting, fresh start, and hopefully we improve on what we did last year.
And personally, in terms of availability, how are you feeling?
Good at the moment. Yep, all good. I reckon every time I've done these over the last few years, I've pinged a calf or a hammy a week later. So touch wood, feeling all right at the moment, but still plenty of work to do to get myself right.
And Liam Duggan back out there running laps this morning. How's he tracking in his return?
Yeah, Duggo's going okay. He had a bit of a slow knee issue over the off-season, but now he's ticking along nicely. I still think we're looking to have him round 1. It's exciting. Still got plenty of time left in the game, and really exciting young leader for us, and crucial to what we want to do on field this year. So seeing him get back out in the park and ramp up his training is exciting.
How much are you watching other sports happening around the country at the moment, and the difficulties that they're facing in terms of COVID and the players going in and out? I mean, you guys in Freo are in a bit of a bubble over here. You're hearing probably other clubs are getting players struck down. What are you making of that, and what are you guys doing to prepare for what happens after Feb 5?
Yeah, it's sort of hard to avoid seeing it, isn't it? I mean, every sport around the world at the moment is getting impacted. So, we'll be the same at some stage. And we've been very fortunate here in WA to have a pretty clean run at training and being able to get together as a group. So we've been fortunate in that regard. There's every chance this year could be our most interrupted out of the last 2. But it's too hard to pick what's going to happen. Looking back over the last 2 years, there's no obvious sign of what's to come. It's all pretty random and spontaneous. So fingers crossed for the best possible result, whatever that is. But only time will tell how the season pans out.
So COVID COVID already looks to be going through lots of the clubs over east. Is there any growing acceptance here that we all might be getting it at some point, or are you still determined to try and do everything you can to avoid it as players? Or?
Oh, well, I think in terms of our health and safety, no one really wants to catch a virus, but you know, the stats would suggest that once it comes in, there's a fairly high chance most of us are going to put ourselves at risk in one way or another. So, looking to eliminate that risk as much as possible is probably the way going forward. But at the same time, we realise there's more risks to us getting it than just being able to play footy. There's people who are probably endangered, more at risk than others, and that's obviously the main reason why we try and avoid getting it. But I think once the borders open up, there's no doubt numbers over here will skyrocket.
Just with the risk elimination, obviously vaccines is what everybody's talking about. 2 or 3 from your group that maybe haven't received it yet, but Trevor Nisbet has repeatedly said he's confident that the whole group will be vaccinated by the deadline. Do you have any update? Is everyone vaccinated, or are you confident that everybody will be for the season ahead?
No, I've got no update, but it is something I think we need to stay out of, and something I don't probe the guys on, and something I'm probably not going to comment on publicly too much, to be honest, because it is a private issue for whoever is unvaccinated at the moment to sort through themselves. And I'm as probably reiterating what Nizzy said, but I'm confident by whenever it needs to be done, guys will have done what they need to.
Have you had a club doctor at all sit down with you guys and talk about the vaccine? I know Netball Australia, when they were heading over to England, they're having conversations with a club sort of, or Australian doctor saying, this might be sort of the risks or the symptoms, or to kind of allay sort of any fears. Have you had something like that to address the whole group? Yeah,
our doctor's spoken to us a few times as a group about what the different vaccines are, benefits, potential risks, all the stuff that every citizen has access to at their doctor. So no different for our doctor updating us on what's going on in the world and where the vaccines are at. And I think the guys have found them really beneficial to hear firsthand the different vaccines available and potential risks. Everyone wants to always know that. But we've probably had, I think in the last year, probably 3 or 4 team meetings with our doctor.
Look, if blokes are coming in and out with COVID during the season, how do you feel like your depth stacks up, if that's what's needed?
I think we'll be okay. Every club will probably be the same, but at some stage you'll probably need to call on a bit of depth to fill a few holes. But we've seen that around the world in every sport at the moment, and who knows what potential rules the AFL might need to bring in terms of mid-season drafting and top-up players and all that sort of thing. Hopefully it doesn't get to that, because that'd suggest that COVID's really taken over the game a little bit. But hopefully it doesn't get to that, but I think we'll be okay.
Are you prepared for it to get to that? I mean, we've seen it. I know footy, cricket and all sports are different, but I mean, I guess if 10 people go down, 10 blokes go down, you've got a long injury list, maybe you do have to go outside the club or something like that. Are you prepared for that possibility?
It'd be something the club, are probably talking about behind the scenes at the moment, stuff that we stay out of as players, but it'd be something that we'll probably look in depth a little bit more at once the season gets rolling and when that becomes a possibility.
What do you make of the AFL's sort of spoken about some crackdowns on rules, in particular with prime opportunity, holding the ball, and time delays? What do you make of what you've heard about that?
More rule changes. I think we need to be interpretations. I think we need to be conscious of making the umpires roll too hard as well. They do a wonderful job in our game, so the more interpretations they have to think of, the more frustrated people are going to get watching the game if they don't work out. But we need to back the AFL in what they decide and the certain rules and interpretations they bring in, because at the end of the day we're always looking to make our game better and grow the game and appeal to wider audiences. So I'm excited to see how this one turns out.
Just on that, sorry, you guys have traditionally been a pretty low tackle number team. You sort of stand off a little bit and guard in a bit of a different way. Like if the game's going to change dramatically where the whistle gets blown really quick for holding the balls, are you going to have to change
a little bit?
Yeah, look, I think our tackle numbers have probably reflected more the way we've had more of our game plan and our method around our contest stuff over the years. I don't think traditionally we've ever been huge on getting too many numbers to the football, and so tackle numbers are probably lower, but at the same time we haven't been a great tackling side when we've needed to as well. So that's something we've worked on and tweaked a few things around the contest, which hopefully gives us more opportunity to be a better tackling side this year. But yeah, you never really know until you get into pre-season games how you're going to look in all forms of the game, and but I think that the tackling is something we had to improve on.
Have you seen Hamish Hartlett's comments on the 2017?
Yeah, yeah, I did say that. I actually know Hartsy reasonably well off field, so I'll have to text him and remind him I still kicked the goal at the end of the day. But no, he's a good man, Hartsy. I think it's probably been blown out of context a little bit too much, but no, we're all good.
I think he's talking more broadly though about the rules and the interpretation of prior opportunity. I mean, do you think that the game's going to benefit from a tighter restriction, whether it be ducking, whether it be the amount a player can get turned into tackle or something like that? I mean, do you think the game's going to be better because of that?
Who knows? There's been so many rules brought in and interpretations changed over the years that you just need to let the games play until you really know whether they're working or not. So, in terms of the rules, I think we just adjudicate to what they are, and if we don't like them, we can change them. But once once pre-season games roll around and we get into round one, we'll find out whether they're going to be good for the game or not. And the AFL always have the opportunity to scrap them if they're not working, which we've seen them do a couple of times in the past. So, as I said before, we need to back the AFL in on these and embrace them, and fingers crossed they work out.
Look, are you locked in as captain again?
Not sure yet. I think we'll vote for the leadership stuff probably in the next fortnight or so. We've got team photos day in a week and a half, so we might need to get it done by then. But yeah, we'll see.
And do you want it, or with your injuries, is there any thought to maybe concentrating on yourself a bit more and sort of handing over, or are you keen to keep it?
Yeah, look, it's interesting. I mean, you do need your captain out there playing, ideally. So, I mean, if this was this time next year and I'd had another season where I probably hadn't played too much footy, it'd definitely be something I'd consider. But at the moment, I've still got to be confident I'm going to get my body right and be able to play a lot of footy this year. And if that is to eventuate and I do get voted in as captain and that's what the playing group wants, then I'm all for it. But I've said before, I only want to be captain if that's something my teammates want. I don't just want to do it for the title, and so I can say I've been captain. I just want what's best for the footy club and the playing group, and if it's me, then great. If it's someone else, then I'll fully support that as well.
Brisbane's AFLW coach Craig Starcevich has said that to improve the women's game, the men's game needs to give up a little bit of the pie. Is that, I think he's talking about salaries generally, is that something you see merit in now that you've got a fully established AFLW program here?
Look, I'm probably not qualified enough to go into too much depth about the salary stuff, but I think the growth we've seen in the women's game over the last few years has been astounding, and we are fully supportive of it. And you just have to look at, speaking firsthand to a few of our girls and young women that have gone over east for the hub. Some of the sacrifices they've made have been huge. So you speak to any of the girls in the women's competition and you realise how hard they're doing it. And it's quite similar to what our men's team went through back in, when we were first starting as a men's side, having to travel heaps, the backs against the wall sort of stuff. And you just hope that in 20 years from now, the women's competition is where the men's was 20 years after we started our team as well. So, look, they're doing it tough, but yeah, we are fully supportive, and all the behind the scenes stuff of the salary and all the nitty gritty we'll work out with the AFLPA and try and find the right deal that's fair for both of us, because at the end of the day we want to see women with as much opportunity as we've had growing up to be involved in football and have pathways to the AFL and AFLW. So, but I think it's heading in the right direction.
Have you seen anyone who's come in, any of the new players who you think can make an impact this year? Anyone jumping out who might be able to work their way into that first 23 quickly?
It's always a bit hard before we've got into games. Quite often you think you've drafted 5 Brownlow medalists. But they're all really good kids. I think Campbell Chess is really impressed with his attitude. You know, everyone knows the story of him driving over to Adelaide and then to Perth to quarantine just so he could be here on Jan 6. You know, he's lived out of home for 3 or 4 years, so boarding school. He's done a lot of growing up and really matured at a young age. So, you know, you can see that just talking to him and seeing the way he trains. So we're all really excited about him. But no, it's a really good group of young kids this year. A couple of them have had a little bit of interruption here and there with injuries, but all really good kids. Train hard when they're on the track, and hopefully in 7 or 8 years from now, there's 4 or 5 guys there who are key players for the side.
Does Chester remind you of anyone you've played with?
No one jumps out at me, but I don't mind him being his own man. I had a look at his highlights package when we drafted him, and he's certainly got a bit of flair and a bit of talent. So, hopefully he can put his hand up this year and play a bit of footy for us. I think we're all excited to see him go.
And just on Elliot Yeo, he's dropped out of training the last couple of weeks. Where's he at?
Yeah, he's like a lot of us, getting on a little bit. We need to be managed at this time of the year, but he had a really good off-season and a good Chrissy break, and slow build through January, and then I think we're into games mid-Feb, so he'll be there. He'll be right.
So there's no alarm with his groins?
His groins have been fine. Yeah, he's been really good. So
Nick's been doing a bit of stuff away from the off to the side the last week or so. Is it?
Yeah, he had a really big December and Chrissy period as well, and so as I said just then, January is a real danger period, especially now that we come back a lot later. There's not that you don't have that load in your legs through November, December. So January becomes quite a danger period for a lot of guys, especially the older guys and guys who have been prone to soft tissue stuff in the past. So a few of us have backed off over the last week or so, and but as I said, we'll start to ramp up probably next week and put a good 3 or 4 week block in before games roll around.